What up, fam? It's your boy DTLF back with another video. Breaking news, guys. The NBA trade deadline is officially here, 2 days away, and we're getting them blockbusters, okay? We are getting them blockbusters. So hit that like button if you guys appreciate up-to-date information. Where do we start, fam? Where do we start? Breaking news, the Memphis Grizzlies are trading star forward Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 future first round picks. 3 from the Jazz going over to Memphis. Okay. That is insane. That my first thoughts are wow. The rebuild for the Jazz is here. What I've been calling for years, telling you guys they're not a real contender. If I was them, I'd trade Jaw, maybe even Jaren Jackson. Well, they're doing that now. Okay. Now the Jazz make a major swing for Jaren Jackson to team him up with Larry Markkinen, Keontae George, and Walker Kessler. You know, their future is extremely bright, guys. Right now, they're not going to win shit. Okay, because the West is tough, but that's a formidable front court with Lowry and with Jackson Jr. It just 3 first round picks is a lot for Jaren Jackson. Not gonna lie, he's a great player, or a really good player. I shouldn't say great. I'll say really good player. But you still have Walker Kessler there. Larry Markkinen and him. That's a 3 big man lineup. Is the league shifting back to 3 big man lineups? Okay, the 2 starting and 1 coming off the bench, maybe. Okay, but this move definitely signals a rebuild for the Grizzlies around its promising young core, and now a lot of future first round picks, a lot. So again, the Grizzlies have decided to hit to pretty much to just hit the reset button, which is the right thing to do. I think a lot of teams should be doing this. Some of these teams are stupid. Like, what are the Kings doing? You guys traded away De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton. Hit the full reset. You clowns don't know what you're doing. Instead, they're over here trading for veteran players. It makes no sense to me. You know, who are under contract for multiple years. Learn from the Grizzlies. All these middle of the road teams in the Western Conference, learn from the Grizzlies, man. Again, for those of you just tuning in, hit that like button, guys. You heard it here first. Breaking news: the Memphis Grizzlies are trading star forward Jaren Jackson Jr., John Koster, Jock Landale, Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, who's been moved around more than Kim Kardashian herself, Taylor Hendricks, and George Niang, plus 3 first round picks. So essentially, a bunch of garbage and 3 first round picks. Okay, a bunch of garbage and 3 first round picks. Yeah. Yo, listen. Under the CBA is a little more difficult, but they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing. Vaughn says, what are the Grizzlies actually doing? What were they doing before the trade? Vaughn, let me ask you this. Let's look where they were at in the standings, okay? What were they doing before the trade? That's what I want to ask. Because the Grizzlies are the 11th team in the Western Conference at 19 and 29. They're doing what they should have done a long time ago. However, now I believe they're going to turn around and trade Jaw. They have to. They can't just trade Jaren Jackson, who's the better player, and then leave Jaw, who's the worst leader we've seen in a long time, on the roster. Okay. For all the casuals out there, this is what you have to do. You can't be a middle of the road team like the Kings, man. You can't do that. You know what? Hey, listen, Sabonis should be gone as well. What's up, Kimiko? What's up, Solo? But I agree. What's up, Tamika? Good to see you all. Craig, good to see you. Yeah, listen. They got 3 first round picks for a starting caliber big. That's a big W. And those aren't just any 3 first round picks. Those are really good first round picks coming from the Jazz. Amazing first round picks. So the Grizzlies, not only that, the Grizzlies have also created a massive $28.8 million trade exception in this deal, the largest ever in the NBA, according to Bobby Marks. Okay. But the Grizzlies now have 13 first round picks over the next 7 years. All right. The rebuild starts now. Jaw is next. And I'm excited because we're getting a very exciting trade deadline already. We're hearing also about James Harden. James Harden potentially being moved by the deadline. He finally figured out that the Clippers are losers and nothing's going to change that. He wants out. Okay. On top of that, they didn't want to pay him, which is all the Clippers are good for, collecting checks. You know, the players only go there to get paid, nothing else. You know, I'm loving what I'm hearing. I'm going to update you guys on the Laker rumors in a little bit, but I just want to really psychoanalyze some of these trades. Okay. Because again, the Grizzlies were in no man's land. I've been saying it for years. They were in no man's land after they got rid of Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson. I thought would be the last man standing, but John Morant is the last man standing, ironically, and he's not a winner, y'all. John Morant is not a winner, so it might be they might have traded Jaren first because it's a little bit harder to trade Jaw. It's hard to find a team that's going to buy in and want to take on his contract or whatever. But we'll see. John Morant is next. I expect the next big shoe to drop. This is what we want from the trade deadline. We want these type of trades. We want these type of trades. So there's 2 days for them to trade John Morant. Let's see who he goes to and what they get in return for him. Let's see. That's what I'm curious about now, moving forward. That's crazy. I would have traded Ja. They waited too long. They did. They're constantly waiting way too long. That's the problem. And then they end up getting pennies to the dollar. But I think in this case, they got bang for their buck with Jaren, for sure. Because Jaren's a starting caliber center, but he's not a star. Okay, we're talking about somebody who averages less than 10 rebounds a game. Talking about somebody who was a defensive player of the year a couple years ago, but it is what it is. Thank you, AJ, for tagging me, my brother, on the live stream. According to B.A. Turner, the Lakers are pushing to trade Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect, but teams are barely showing interest. Well, I'll tell you what. Any team that shows interest, you can have him. He's yours. We'll take some Pringles for those guys, man. We'll take Pringles right now. He's absolutely, they're yours. We need to clear up those roster spots for people who can actually play. Now, as far as the Lakers go, so far, again, they've been supposedly active making calls, but nothing has come to fruition. There's 2 days left. 2 days, less than that, matter of fact, less than that. All right, we got about, 36 hours, maybe 32, somewhere around there. Quick math. But, the trade deadline is here. We'll trade Gabe for their mascots. Facts. Big facts. Let's see. Cringy Gamer says, Dan, the picks are 2027 first from Utah, 2027 first from the Lakers, and a 2030 first from Phoenix. Those are good picks, especially the 2027 from the Utah Jazz. They're good picks, man. For Jaren, they're good picks. Now, again, I'm a little shocked that the Utah Jazz made this trade because currently in the standings right now, the Utah Jazz for this season, they're 15-35. They've lost 6 in a row. So, I was talking to my friend on the phone, and we were talking about it. Like, this makes little to no sense for the Jazz. They gave up 3 first-round picks, although I believe Walker Kessler will walk in the offseason. I feel like he's going to sign elsewhere. The rumors have been saying he's going to leave the Jazz. He's been injury-prone, however, so my interest in him has diminished a bit, but I could definitely see the Lakers going after, like, a Walker Kessler in the offseason. However, Jaren Jackson, right, fit currently with the Grizzlies, they're not going to make a run into the play-in tournament. They're so far back. 19-29? No, I'm sorry. 15-35. 15-35, guys. They're 20 games below 500, the Jazz. So this trade did puzzle me a little bit because I'm thinking this is the type of trade somebody makes when they feel like they're close, and Jackson is the piece that is going to put them over the top. Now, I like this move for the Jazz better for next year. They come in with a clean slate. Like I said, they got Keontae George. They got some bucket getters over there for sure. But I'm really. What's crazy though? Luka Doncic and Trae Young only pulled in 1 first-round pick. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain combined for 7 first-round picks. That's insane. People are prioritizing role players more than star players. That's insane. But what do you guys think of the Jazz? So they get Lauri Marketing with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler. It looks like teams are now going back to playing with size. The roster for the Jazz now reads Keontae George, Lauri Marketing, Jaren Jackson, Walker Kessler, Ace Bailey, Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, Isaiah Collier, and Cody Williams plus more, right? So that's a very formidable roster for the next year, for sure. This year, I don't think they can make up the ground. If anything, I would have thought they would have tried to bottom out a little bit if they do have their first-round pick. I haven't checked that. But if they do have it, I would have thought they would have tried to bottom out to get a top pick this year. This is going to help them in the wins department for sure. So, I don't know exactly what the train of thought is outside of improving for the future, which is good for them in the long run, right? Oh, let me switch to the media style because, man, It is. Yeah, this thing is covering my face. All right, there you go. That's much better. Thank you so much, Kimmy. Appreciate you. Yeah, listen, man, the Lakers, bro. The Lakers, bro. Mm, I don't know if they're gonna do anything. And if they don't do anything, it tells us that they're just punting the season away. By the way, the Cavaliers have emerged as a strong and realistic um, trade candidate. They might be looking to trade Jared Allen. They're already looking to trade for James Harden. Could they also be looking to get more assets to go out and get a Giannis? Like, watch out for the Cavs. They're very sneaky right now. They're very, very sneaky. And yes, the question Ange is asking, if you're willing, want Jared Allen? I would love Jared Allen. He'd be perfect for this team. Absolutely. If we can give up some stuff to get him, expiring contracts and a first-round pick, I do it. Lakers right says Rob gave Gabe the mid-level exception and took Dalton with the 17th pick. Now he's trying to get both. He's trying to get off of both of them. He is so ass. I agree. Look, the biggest claim to fame for Rob Pelinka is landing star players. But the role players, he's left a lot to be desired. I've been saying this the last couple of nights. Rob Pelinka sucks at building around the star players. He sucks. He stinks at it. And that's unfortunate because you really need to be able to put a team around these stars in order to compete for titles. Rob Pelinka has failed LeBron and AD, and now right now, currently, as we stand, he's failing Luka and LeBron and Austin. As we stand. Trade deadline in 2 days, so I'm going to reserve judgment till then. But right, it's not looking good for us right now. We're not making no trades. Some of the players that we were linked to got traded for each other. Keon Ellis and them. They got traded for each other. So what does that leave us with? Unless Rob Pelinka, which he has been known for, is working in the shadows to get us something of significance, and this is going to be like we're punting away the season. And hopefully our 3 stars get us far, right? Is it, to be fair, initially getting Gabe and Dalton looked great at first? It did. We were all excited. That's a fact, especially me. I was excited. I hadn't watched Dalton play, but a lot of you guys told me a lot of good things about him, so I was open-minded to it. And then as far as Gabe Vincent, he was the 3rd best player on a finals run team. But again, the limelight is different here in Los Angeles, man. Not everybody's built to play here. Not everybody's built to play here at all. But let's get back to the NBA rumors, guys. Again, that was a major blockbuster that just happened right now, right? So far, we have these trades. We have Trae Young getting traded, blockbuster, okay? We have the Cavaliers acquiring Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis from the Kings, right, for DeAndre Hunter and Dario Saric in seconds. Not a blockbuster. And now we have this one. This is a major blockbuster right here, all right? We're talking about Jaren Jackson Jr., former Defensive Player of the Year. You know, really good player. I think he was obviously crowned that improperly because that should have been AD's title that year. But we still have Giannis sitting there, all right? And offers for Giannis remain underwhelming according to rival executives, making it more and more likely that he stays in the past the deadline, according to Jake Fisher. Okay, now the Bucks appear to be setting a really high price right now, possibly, saving for a full auction. I hate that word auction, by the way. Saving for a full, I'm going to say action in the offseason. All right, I hate auction. It just sounds like slavery. I hate it. So yeah, I'm not going to say what the report says. I don't know why they use the word auction. All right, these people aren't up for auction. The Jazz are a tough team in the Western Conference. Dan. The entire West is tough. It's a melting pot. But what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And if you can come out of the West, you can more likely than not win the championship. That's the way we have to see it. We have to compete with these teams. Iron sharpens iron. We can't be afraid of the competition. However, this year, the Lakers have been losing to a lot of this competition. We've been losing to above 500 teams. And so, yes, it is concerning. Of course it is. But again, for those of you just tuning in, Jaren Jackson gets traded to the Jazz. The full trade details are the Jazz get Jaren Jackson Jr., John Koshner, Jock Londell, Vince Williams Jr., and the Grizzlies get Clayton Jr., okay, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, plus not 1, not 2, but 3 first-round picks. That's more than Luka pulled in his trade. Remember, we only gave up 1 first-round pick for Luka. That's more than who else? That's more than Trae Young pulled in his trade. He only got 1 too. They only got 1 for him. So this is a major dub for the Grizzlies, no matter how you twist it. Big win for the Grizzlies. If you're a Grizzlies fan, yes, it sucks to lose Jaren Jackson Jr., but your team sucked anyways. Your team stunk. It's poor leadership. You have to build from the ground up. You're 10 games below 500, currently 11th in the West. no man's land. You want to bottom all the way out. If you're going to be there, you might as well go all the way out. Okay, which is something that's my concept for years, and there's always been pushback. People telling me, "Oh no, teams aren't bottoming out." Yes, the fuck they are. Breaking news. Yes, the fuck they are. They're bottoming out, and teams should bottom out. Ange says, "Would you rather trade for Allen now or pay Kessler that $20 million this offseason?" I trade for Jared Allen just because he's healthier. Ange, that's a great question, by the way. But I'm for sure trading for Jared Allen because he's healthier. So I'm going with that trade for sure, right? But now the question is, who's going to trade for John Morant? That's what I want to know. Also hearing that the Mavericks are unlikely to trade Anthony Davis by Thursday, but they will listen on Klay Thompson per The Athletic, right? Also, Miles Bridges for the Hornets is drawing interest from teams like the Bucks, the Warriors, the Suns, but he's also expected to stay put. That can change. With the right offer, that can change for both of those players I just mentioned, right? But teams like the Wolves, they're being very aggressive right now during the trade deadline, you know. But that Triple J trade just it was mind blowing because I think we all expected to see John Morant be traded first. But now Shams just reporting that John Morant's days with the Memphis could be coming to an end. So I really hope that they trade Ja for the sake of Memphis. I hope they trade Ja before the trade deadline and they can kind of get a full picture and a full rebuild. You know, also he's been very injury prone the last couple of years. Very injury prone the last couple of years. So it's in nobody's best interest to keep him. But yes, for Laker updates, guys, the Lakers are pushing to trade Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect as we speak. Teams are barely showing interest. But I do like the barely part because that means there's somebody out there that might be interested. That's good news. That's really, really good news. Okay. That is exceptional news. We need to get off of, especially Gabe Vincent. I think, you know what? If we don't do anything crazy at all, I would love it if the Lakers got rid of Gabe Vincent. That is, I think, priority number one for me. He's just a waste of mid-level exception. He's a waste of space, you know? But let me ask you guys this. I'm curious. I just seen my guy Petty just tweet this out. With this trade, with Jaren Jackson Jr. being worth 3 first-round picks, did the price of Giannis just go up just now? Like, I'm super freaking curious. Did the price of Giannis just go up? All right, because if Jaren Jackson is worth 3, how many is Giannis worth? Got to be at least 4 to 5, at least minimum, right? You know, let's see what happens. Let's see what comes of that. That's really setting the market high for him, even in the offseason. So that's kind of killing my hope for him coming to the Lakers, you know, if I'm going to be realistic about it. But, man, Jared Allen could be a possibility. Hearing that Andrew Wiggins is still connected name to a couple of teams, to LA, to Golden State. Hearing that if Golden State pivots away from the Giannis talks, it could go for, you know, a reclamation price. Najee Marshall, all right. Apparently, he remains linked to some teams as well, right? Let's see. And then Dante DiVincenzo could also be on the move. Apparently, the Lakers are still dangling Rui Hachimura. It says here they've shown willingness to include him in deals, all right? He's averaging about 12.5 points per game right now coming off the bench. I like him off the bench better. It's unfortunate that Dalton's value has dipped so bad. If we would have traded him last year when he was hot, we would have got a premium for him because he got hot during the first third of the month. But nobody would have known he would have had this much of a catastrophic fall, right? I mean, let's see. Again, I think Giannis could be the biggest shoe to fall, but this might be the biggest trade that happens at the deadline. This could already be it. We will see. You guys think Ja is going to Minnesota? I see a lot of people saying Ja's going to Minnesota. Ange says, if I'm the Bucks, absolutely. Yeah. Giannis, you got to get a premium for him. You cannot look at what just happened with Jaren Jackson Jr. and think, oh, yeah, we can't get more. No. You know, these trades kind of set the market. And this is why it's important for certain teams to make deals quickly and swiftly. Because, look, if you're a team that's pursuing Giannis, it just became that much harder to execute. Now you might need a third and even a fourth team involved just to kind of get some more assets to send to Milwaukee to try to sway it. Now, see, this makes me feel like the Giannis trade won't happen before the deadline after watching this deal, okay? Just because of, you know, what he went for. He went for a lot. Wow, we got another trade, guys. Oh, my God. Is this a trade deadline special before the trade deadline special? Hit that like button if you guys are live with me right now. All right. Breaking news. Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have agreed to a multi-team deal that says Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to the Bulls and Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons. Detroit also receives a 2026 first-round protected swap. Yeah, this is getting crazy. It's like we getting the trade deadline before the trade deadline. All right, it was quiet. But you get one trade going, here comes another. You get one trade going, here comes another, man. Shout out to Shams. He's starting to earn his paycheck right now. So, again, if you're just tuning in, hit that like button. Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to the Chicago Bulls, Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric to the Pistons, and then Detroit also receives a first-round draft pick in this swap. So, okay. So, again, we know what's going to Chicago and to the Pistons. What's going to Minnesota? What are they amping up to? What are they amping up for? Like, I got to know. I got to know the rest of the details to this. But, okay, we will update you as we go. But, yeah, Jaden Ivey got traded to Chicago. Does that mean Kobe White is out of there? Does that mean Kobe White is out of there? That's good. This ended up being a double breaking news video, all right? Not only are we talking about Jaren Jackson, but now Jaden Ivey heading to the Bulls with Mike Conley. So now where does that leave the Timberwolves? What are they gearing up for, right? What are they gearing up for? That's what I want to know. Ivey is nice, but he's coming off a major injury. What the Bulls doing with Kobe? Yeah, we got to know. That's got to be in here somewhere. I will update you guys as it happens. But, man, the NBA, are you not entertained, Shaq? This is what it's about right here. This is what the trade deadline is about, man. We're 2 days until the actual date, by the way, and we're already getting these shoes to drop right here. So, again, we don't have more details from Shams. He must be gathering right now. Well, I will update you guys as we go. Yeah, Kobe White has to be gone. All right, Ja Morant gone, Kobe White gone. So that guarantees that the Wolves are doing something big. Could this be them trying to land Ja Morant right now? Trying to create some space? What are we doing here? I'm so curious to see what they're about to do. All right, I will keep refreshing my timelines so we can hear more on this. But yeah, I expect the Ja Morant trade news to drop at any moment now. Also reading that the Clippers had held trade discussions with the Timberwolves for James Harden. So could that be coming to fruition? You know, could that be what's next here for the Timberwolves? Timberwolves are super intriguing. They have some contracts they can move. They have some assets. And they've even been rumored to trade Jaden McDaniels. All right, to put a bigger offer together for Giannis. Okay. Appreciate you, Kim Go. Yes. We don't know yet. I'm waiting for the details here. Shams has not. Shams sometimes does this. He kind of updates us a little late. So also hearing that all of a sudden, corner Brett Siegel, the Grizzlies have emerged as a potential suitor for Raptors center Jakob Poeltl as Toronto continues to pursue the Kings star Domantas Sabonis. So, man, all right, the Kings might finally be doing what they had to do. But see, this is why the RJ trade makes no sense at all. The RJ trade to me makes 0 sense, y'all. You know? Okay. So let's see, man. Just waiting on the updates and details here. Where did Kobe White go to? They haven't announced it yet. I don't even know if he was in this package. Again, Shams kind of halfway tweeting. He didn't say nothing about the Timberwolves. He told me, Shams just let us know where. So this is the tweet right here that I have. All right, breaking news: Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley Jr. to the Bulls and Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons. He says sources tell ESPN Detroit also receives a 2026 first-round protected swap from Minnesota. But what in the hell does Minnesota receive, Shams? Is this a bigger trade than what's initially being reported? Because he hasn't said a word yet about what Minnesota receives in this. And that is what has us all on pins and needles right now. Because we want to know, is it James Harden included in a different deal? What's going on? All right. Conley is probably getting waived. Ooh, he's an interesting piece. He's an interesting piece as a backup. I would much prefer Conley if he gets waived. I would much prefer Conley over Gabe Vincent. Do you guys agree or disagree? Can we get a trade while on stream? We just did big five. We just got a trade. It's the Detroit Pistons, the Timberwolves, and the Chicago Bulls. Just made a trade right now while on the live stream. I usually go live during the trade deadline. This year, I'm gonna have my good friend Lou with me on the live stream. So stay tuned for the live trade deadline special. We're probably gonna go live like an hour before the trade deadline. Gonna be live during the trade deadline and then 30 minutes after. So like an hour, 2 hours, an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours. We'll be live on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Actually, it's not Thursday. It's trade deadline falls on. Yeah, it is Thursday, actually. You're right. I'm right. What moves are you hoping for the Lakers? This is a good question right here. Good question right here. I'm hoping that the Lakers get rid of Gabe Vincent. That is all I can hope for now. I'm just trying to be realistic. Doesn't sound like they're doing some big Rob, please surprises. But if he doesn't, we get rid of Gabe, I'll be okay. I'll be okay at least for the rest of this year. But I'm expecting bigger things in the summer. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking about two breaking news trades that just happened. This morning, Jaren Jackson Jr. All right, Jaren Jackson Jr. gets traded to the Utah Jazz for 3 first-round picks, essentially, and a bunch of throw-in players. And just now, while we were live, Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have agreed to a multi-team deal where Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley go to the Bulls, Kevin Huerter, Darius Saric to the Pistons, and we still don't have the information on what the Timberwolves are getting. So this has got to be big. Shams, don't let us down. Still refreshing my Twitter page for Shams news. All right. Let's see here. I want Conley out of the buyout market over Gabe Vincent anytime, Dan. Yes. And these might be the type of sneaky moves we have to do, assuming he does get bought out. Nothing is official yet. My guy Nate said Wolves probably trying to reroute a player. Yes, and that's what makes it interesting. This could be a 4-team deal, which is more than initially was reported from our guy Shams. But Shams seems to be really busy at the moment because he never has time to tweet the entire context of the trade. I feel like Shams should hire an assistant, man. He should be the one on the phones, and somebody should be. Maybe he already does. Should have multiple assistants if that's the case, because we've been getting more breaking news from other sources lately than Shams, right? So I think Woj used to do a great job of kind of like just being the first on the scene every single time. But yeah, for those of you just tuning in, the Grizzlies now have 13 first-round picks in the next 7 years. That is a lot. That is a lot. And so their rebuild should be kind of swift if they make the right decisions, right? The Jazz, on the other end, have Keontae George, Ace Bailey, Larry Markkinen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler, who's a restricted free agent, okay? So they have a lot of size, and they're going to be trying to bully teams over there on that side. Who's available in the summer? Absolutely nobody. We will figure that out in the summer. But you got to remember, it's not just about who's available in free agency, right? It's also about who's available via trade. And I think trades become more plausible at times than free agency does under the new CBA. So again, you guys got to be patient with that stuff because it's not always about free agency. Sometimes it's the trade market, just like the trade deadline. It's all about the trades, right? The offseason can become more about trades than free agency. All right. What I find it interesting, and I want to bring this, guys, to your attention, is that if Giannis was to get dealt to the Milwaukee Bucks, Draymond would most likely be included. That's nuts to me. That's crazy because Curry has never allowed Draymond to get traded, even when the Warriors wanted to trade him years ago, okay, because he was an absolute problem. They wanted to trade him years ago, and Curry didn't allow it, right? He would always step in. And so, will Curry actually allow it for a big name like Giannis? That's the question. And if that happens, that'll create bad blood between Draymond and Curry, and it would be very entertaining anytime they matched up. But where would Draymond go? Because I can't see him in Milwaukee. I think Draymond would rather retire than play in Milwaukee. Okay. Where would he go? Right? Would he get traded to another team? Would then the Lakers try to swoop in and try to get a player like that? What do you guys think? Because there's a lot of scenarios at play here depending on what happens with Giannis. And it all depends and it all hinges on what's about to happen with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So keep a close eye out on that. Right? I'm not rooting. God knows I'm not rooting for Giannis to go to the Warriors or anywhere in the West, if I'm being honest. You know, but and now we're hearing that the Jazz may not be done. They're very, very active, apparently, right now, and in the trade market. I'll take some comments, guys. I'll take some comments now, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Honestly, if we don't make moves this deadline, even with AR back, we're going to be a first round, second round exit team. I'm tired of being an average team. We have to do something. I agree. I agree. However, there's only so much that maybe they can do because remember, Rob Pelinka doesn't have the best trade relationships around the league. A lot of people speculate that's the reason he doesn't make a lot of trades around the deadline, right? And so if that has any truth to it, then maybe that's the issue. Maybe he's the issue. Maybe he has to get gone. All right. Striker, thank you so much, my friend. How you doing today? Hopefully all is well. Thank you so much for super chat. But yeah, still don't have the details on the Shams tweet, unless he's trying to resend his tweet. He's trying to take it back. Maybe it wasn't supposed to leak yet till the deadline. I don't know. But again, those of you just tuning in, Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have made a 3-team deal. Mike Conley and Jaden Ivey going to the Bulls, which means the Bulls now are super stacked at the guard position. Kobe White must be involved in this somehow. Maybe Kobe White goes back to Minnesota. Kobe White and Ant-Man in the backcourt would be entertaining as heck. All right. Let's see here. He said, I think we probably get Herb Jones, Dalton Connect, and Rui and Troy Murphy too, Dan. Herb Jones has been coveted by a couple of teams. Okay. Herb Jones has been coveted by a couple of teams. I'm actually of the mindset that it's more likely for the Pelicans to trade somebody like Alvarado than a Herb Jones, because apparently they want more than one first round pick for him. They want like 2. Okay, which is crazy because you see what 2 to 3 first round picks are fetching you. All right, talent of the level and magnitude of a Jaren Jackson Jr. And it's going to be so weird to watch Memphis without Jaren Jackson. He's been there from the beginning since they drafted him, and same thing with Jaws. It's going to be weird to watch him without him. But I think that's the next shoe to drop for sure. And it's going quiet. I might actually have to end the video here relatively shortly just to keep my energy up, because I might have to be doing plenty of these. If we keep getting blockbusters, I'm going to go live. If it's a minor trade, I'll just post it in the community section. But I feel like today it's already been really active. Let's see. Nobody wants to trade with this team. Our assets are ass. Well, that's not true at all, Danny. See, the problem is that it's not our assets. It's more so our willingness to take on long-term salary. Apparently, the Lakers have a plan for the offseason and moving forward. And so they want to hold on to their assets, which is like a first-round pick. Believe it or not, expiring contracts are assets because teams want to go under the second apron. They want to avoid the tax, especially if they don't feel like they're contenders. They're trying to avoid tax. So they're willing to give up some actual good talent for expiring contracts, right? Or lesser contracts. So it's not that we don't have assets. It's just that the Lakers aren't willing to take on long-term salary. And that's the reason we didn't get that trade done with the Cavs, right? That's the main reason we didn't get that trade done with the Cavs. So pay close attention to what's about to happen during the trade deadline. Let's see. The Intellect said, these are players that move the needle. Ayo DeSumo, by the way, I'm a big fan of his. Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, Sadiq Bey, I also like him, and Trey Murphy. Oh, Trey Murphy would be a godsend, okay? You're talking about a floor spacing, 3-level scorer next to Luka and Austin and LeBron? That would be a big problem for the league. I don't think we get him, though. Neeson, you might get your wish. He says, Dan, LeBron James, Bronny come as a package. Does that hinder other teams that want LeBron? Keith, at this point, I don't think teams are willing to give up major assets for LeBron James. You got to understand he's making $55 million around there, right? 55, 54. You have to package a lot of pieces in order to get that contract back, right? So a lot of teams aren't willing to give up a lot of pieces for LeBron when they can just feel like he can take a pay cut and they can get him for cheaper in the offseason, especially if you're trying to build a contender. You're not trying to have that type of cap hold, right? It'd be better if and people are gauging the league. Like just yesterday, we got a report that LeBron James and the Lakers are headed for a divorce this summer, which I've been telling you guys already all year, right, since the beginning, especially with all the clutch stuff. But the bottom line is teams are gauging the Lakers, and they're seeing that LeBron James is probably going to walk for cheaper, potentially even to their team, instead of them giving up talent to get him, and they kind of end up, in the same place the Lakers are, where we need cap space and flexibility. So, yeah. Vaughn says, Dan, dare I say we might have to watch out for an Austin trade? Not now during the trade deadline. If there is an Austin trade, it would be because Austin chooses another team in free agency and he needs us to facilitate a sign and trade. That would be the only way I could see Austin leaving. But other than that, I'm willing to bet the house that he's going to re-sign as a Laker. Vaughn. I'm willing to bet the house. Any chance for Giannis to Lakers now or next year? There's a slim chance. He would have to really want to be here, right? He would have to put us at the top of his list, right? But, talking about Austin and Jaren Jackson Jr., this is something Rich Paul had mentioned, that we should give up Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. As you can see, Jaren Jackson Jr. was not worth a player of that caliber. They got 3 first-round picks. But 3 first-round picks aren't a player of all-star magnitude that averages 26 points per game. So Rich Paul was wrong. Just like we said he was when he said it, Austin Reeves is worth so much more. Let's just say the Lakers traded Austin Reeves, right? If Jaren Jackson Jr. was averaging about 17 and 6, was able to fetch 3 first-round picks, what do you think Austin Reeves would be able to fetch at 26 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds? You know what I mean? So we can't believe everything they say in the podcast, nor should we believe that everything they say in these podcasts are good for the Lakers. They're not. They're not. Rich Paul was wrong. All right. Let's see here. So Shams, looks like Shams just tweeted. Let me go ahead and update that. Let's see here. Let's see what Shams just said. It says, Bulls and Pistons have desires met here in young and veteran guards, and Chicago and a sharpshooter goes to Detroit. Minnesota creates significant tax savings and roster space as they pursue a Milwaukee star. So, wait. Okay. So Minnesota just gave up Mike Conley. They didn't get nothing in return. Just roster space. Just cap flexibility. So they're really pursuing Giannis. Okay, so that's interesting. So what happens if they whiff on Giannis? If they don't get Giannis, do they then turn around and try to get James Harden? That's interesting. So they got rid of Mike Conley. They didn't get no guards in return. They didn't get no Kobe White, nothing. Interesting. So that was the full trade that I read to you guys. So the full trade is Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit agreeing to that multi-year deal. Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to the Bulls. Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons. And just cap flexibility to the Timberwolves. Timberwolves fans, how do y'all feel about that? That's interesting. That's really interesting. What if AR is healthy but been holding from playing because he's a part of a bigger trade? There's an interesting scenario, Keith. I would be shocked if AR got traded. If AR got traded, it only meant that the Lakers didn't want to pay him $40+ million a year. They didn't believe in his talent that much. If AR got traded, it just means that the Lakers did not believe in his talent and they thought this was as high as he's going to go. And he's having one of those over-exceeding years. I doubt the Lakers feel that about AR. I think AR stays. Unless AR doesn't want to sign him in the summer and they gauge that, then I can definitely see that happen in the summer and a sign and trade because that's where he gets most of his money, right? Sharon says, we should be crazy to trade AR. Luka and him are good together. I agree, Sharon. I think people have lost sight of the fact that at one point we're calling this team or this backcourt the best backcourt in the NBA. Absolutely. Let's see. My guy said, hey, Dan, I think the Jazz will go tank mode and not play Triple J too much and try to get their best pick they can. And if they can get a good pick for next year, the future will be bright. I mean, their future is already bright after making this move. They got a lot of bullies in that paint. They got a lot of bullies. They got a good guard in Keontae. They're going to be a problem for sure. I hate to give credit where credit is due, but Danny Ainge has done a good job of kind of like restacking that franchise with the trades he's made. He had a bunch of first round picks and he's able to capitalize off them by getting somebody like Jaren Jackson. I can't say if this is a good trade for now because again, right now they are 20 games under 500, but maybe next year this trade will look a lot better. Maybe this was the time to strike for them. All right, guys, I want to keep this video as brief as possible because we may be getting other breaking news trades, and if they're really big, like this or like the Jaren Jackson one, I will go live. Otherwise, I will post in the community section. I got you guys posted. Later on, we do have the Laker game. So pregame coming up at around 3:15 to 3:30, around there. And we'll talk more about these trades and the Lakers there. But I appreciate you guys. Please hit the like button if you guys appreciate the news and the rumors and the updates. And subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I got you guys with a trade deadline special coming up. And this time I'm going to have a co-host. So it should be fun. All right. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you guys later on for pregame. All right. Peace.